Okay, I will do my live stream. I think I'll start over. If I edit this, I'll use this as the beginning, or right after this is the beginning. Okay, trip done for Florida, and the live stream will be done in my car, even though that wasn't part of the trip. But I do want to charge the car up a little bit since it's going weeks or a week at a time without getting last upgrade. I don't even know how I would turn it down, or if I could. I mentioned I could, but yeah, I took it. So, yeah, early boarding didn't matter. 100K. So, if you're first class, well, I mean, they got the people with the special needs, kids, and military. We don't have as many kids coming from Florida to Seattle. Usually, I think there was like some flights just have zero, but you have people with like extra boarding time because it's Florida. Um, and then some military, because again, Florida. So you get to board first, even if I'm not in first class because of the 100K. So that's kind of a cool perk, I guess. Other airlines have that too, I think. But of course, with 100 first class and 100K, it's almost guaranteed. I also have learned at RSW to expect boarding to start early. It often starts like 15 minutes early. Like Seattle is always starting late, and in Florida it's always starting early. So, and I think it helps just having one flight per day. I would almost say like 4:54 is the flight out and 4:55 is the flight back. However, it's not the same plane. It can't be the same plane because the flight out gets there around 6 or 10 p.m. and the flight there at 9 a.m. So I mean, it could have been the plane the night before. I don't know, but definitely not the same plane that came in. So there's just no wait for that, I suppose. Yeah, and so first class was nice. All right, weirdest thing was the seat next to me. They auto seated me when they bumped me to 1C, and 1A was open. So I just said, okay, I'll switch because I figured the person hasn't checked in yet, hasn't selected a seat. So I said, all right, I'll take 1A, and then that person will have 1C when he or she checks in. In the first row, and I couldn't leave the first row. The first row's biggest disadvantage is that you have to put your bags up, even like your kind of backpack, small pack, which is kind of inconvenient to some degree. However, lots more leg room and really easy bathroom access, and you get served first and you get off first. There's just a lot of pros to being in row 1. But as we got closer to takeoff, I thought, well, where's the other person? And then pretty soon the doors were closing and the other person never showed up. So, yeah, the whole row to myself, but it doesn't really matter in first class because the seats are so molded individually that even the arm, you're not fighting for an armrest, there's plenty of room. Yeah, there's really no benefit to having the person not next to you. I mean, I guess the bathroom access is even easier and overhead's even easier. But you also don't have someone to talk to, which I often will talk to the person a little bit on the trip. Sometimes the whole trip, but just depending how I feel. So, yeah, that was weird. I just thought, well, why didn't somebody else get the upgrade? Or maybe that person had checked in and just didn't show, and it was too late to, yeah, I don't know the story about that, but that was just really weird. I was just thinking, if I were in the back, I'm thinking, man, upgrade me, which maybe other people felt. That's just a weird thing. Or it was reserved for a pilot or something, or someone that didn't use it. I don't know. Good meal, I gotta say. One of the better meals. It was the pulled pork, scrambled eggs, and they did a good job with it. It was hot, which was nice, because I was cold. I thought my pullover would be enough, but for, I guess, the first couple hours, I was just miserably cold. I don't like the plane temperatures. And I think if they keep it at a temperature most people are comfortable with. If other people are, if the average person's comfortable, I'm cold. If I'm comfortable, I guess the average person's hot. So for me, it was just kind of chilly. So I did enjoy having the hot meal. Even the croissant was warm. So I ate 95% of it. I guess the yogurt I left about halfway, but I usually don't eat the full meals. But I did. I mean, I also didn't have breakfast, and it was getting, yeah. And I fasted most of yesterday too. So there were, I guess, reasons. But yeah, I did enjoy the meal, and no drink with it, although they offered champagne on the 4 flight, so yeah, okay, fine. And later I got my scotch, because I figured it's the last day of drinking for a little bit anyway, and maybe eating for a little bit. I'll have to see about that. But after that, I slept for like 2 hours. It was like a 2-hour, and I usually don't sleep that long on flights, but I was tired. Yeah, I just kind of nodded off, and my neck hurts after that. We were joking around about neck pillows, and I don't know, maybe there's something to them, but I was, yeah, I get a sore neck lately from these flights. I mean, not too bad, it goes away. And then it was, yeah, get out the laptop and get some reading done, and no, not much of the language tool, because I have to, I get the Wi-Fi, so there are some nice perks with 100, as the Wi-Fi for a year is cool, free Wi-Fi. I've really been liking that. It just, although it takes away my disconnect period, which isn't always a bad thing. It's kind of fun to be off the grid for a little bit. But yeah, well, I'm there a part of the trip, but definitely not like before. Before it was like 7 hours, unless I had a reason to get the Wi-Fi. I was like, no, I'm not getting the Wi-Fi. So yeah, it would be like, and this was a long flight. It was like six hours. Yeah, that was definitely a long flight coming home. But yeah, the Wi-Fi, it switched between my phone and my MacBook, and then the rest of the flight went by watching some YouTube videos, and we landed, and well, gloomy Seattle. It was definitely quite a change in weather. The gray sky was just 100% different than what I left, which is interesting. In fact, it was funny because Florida was, I mean, it was morning, so it wasn't like warm or anything, but it was sunny, You get above the clouds, and we were either in or above the clouds the whole time, and then it was only at the very end, very end, we kind of sink below the clouds and realize now it's gray. We've entered the gray zone once again. Then it was time to decide on Uber or the train. Uber was the first quote was like $50, $52, and Lyft were, I don't know, 62 or something. Lyft is just, I don't know why anyone takes Lyft if they're going to keep going overpriced like that. But and the train, of course, would have been $3. But I decided, it was actually the cold. I was just with my pullover. I didn't have my jacket, so it was just too cold for me. It's like, no, I don't want to be miserable at that train station for a long time or on the train. The trains aren't too uncomfortable, but the station and the waiting, I thought, I'll just pay the money. It's a waste, I know, and it adds up. I keep track of that stuff now, and it's that column. I'm just watching those numbers go up and thinking, $3 instead of like 333, it's 50. It's like that's disheartening, but also don't like to freeze. So you gotta enjoy life to some degree. So I said we had more fasting, not entire days, but just one meal a day type fasting, which is 8 at night. I just needed to kind of control that eating, even on vacation now. I'm just going on too many vacations. I can't just have my rules at home or do things when I'm at home. So I think yesterday was most of the day. So skipped a really tasty breakfast. We went out to Mill's Diner, and I'm watching scrambled eggs and toast and pancakes, which I don't really like, and just everything, a whole assortment of food, and it smelled great and it looked great, all of it. But for me, I had coffee in my hand the whole time, and it's the one thing about it. I think it builds willpower. It sort of allows me to get stronger instead of weaker. That I just build up this resistance and kind of a mental can do attitude that I can skip these meals. I can go out and be tempted and be just fine. And then the rest of the day, I wasn't too hungry, but it would have been nice. And then I waited till about 9 o'clock, about 9:30, and then I snacked. Had not a huge dinner, but snacks after that until bed. So, and that was a couple days of that. So I don't know. Tomorrow's scale, we'll see how it happened. And then I think my book on kind of curbing alcohol arrived. It kind of started that, but I don't know if the goal is just to be completely sober. But I think I do want to make changes. One change may just be no more beer. Definitely no beer at home. And that'll be a good one. But going out, the one day I had a tall beer, I don't know, my stomach didn't really feel that well. I felt very tired. I just kind of regretted it. And it was a big beer. We're talking 22. That's 2 beers, 2 cans of beer almost. But I just thought, I don't know, it tasted great. It wasn't that bad, but I kind of think I don't enjoy it enough to go through what the damage is. So it could be just no more beer, which is ironic because I had one today, but there's just one left in my fridge. And I thought, well, let's have one final beer, kind of like one last smoke type thing. And I didn't even enjoy it that much. No, I don't know. There's times where a beer just sounds really good. It does taste really good, but it's just hard to control the amount when you start. So I kind of think maybe I should just say no more beer, or just have a really strict policy. I have to see what policy really works best. There are times going on like a 10-mile hike with friends and going to a pizza place after, and not having a cold beer is kind of depressing, and that shouldn't be. It's depressing that should be depressing, but I don't know. But I've done it before where I just had a tall Diet Coke, and I was fine with that. Anyway, so that flight's down. I got about a day, and then another flight, a much shorter one. And they are, these flights to Idaho, they upgrade me within 4 to 8 hours, sometimes more. So I've already noticed that and I wasn't surprised at all. Yep, okay, this flight's first class, but it's such a short flight, no meal. The seat's the main perk, I guess. Really, just the seat. First to get off the plane, but no other really good benefit. And I think they're doing extra miles for February, which is cool. It is. the idea of flying again so soon isn't thrilling, but I just that's the best. It was the best time to fit in a trip to see family. So just kind of you got to do it. And then getting home from that, I get a day, and then another long flight. I hope that's upgraded, but yeah, that'll be a quick trip back to Florida. But there is an advantage of all these miles for February. I think are doubled, so that really is going to put me on a nice fast track to 100K again. But that's not really my goal to get 100K again. If it happens, great. But I'm not going to be flying. I mean, obviously, if I get to 95 towards the end of the year, I'll fit another flight in to make sure I get over the mark. But if I'm at like projected to be like 75 or 80, I'm not going to fit in cram in 80,000 more miles. Just have to see what happens. So yeah, Seattle. I've been here about over 450 days now. I checked earlier, and I'm just kind of curious like how many, because I hit the year mark. I guess months ago. Yeah, I'm almost at the 1.5. No, that would be May. So a few more months. And yeah, I mean, after I think seeing options and this suburban life, I think I enjoy the benefits of that more than the benefits of the city life, even though I'm sort of in a weird half. I'm not really suburbia at all, but I'm not downtown. I'm sort of fringe city, which is kind of cool. I don't think I'd ever want to be downtown city, at least not here. Who knows? New York, there could be some fun things about that. But here, I don't know. So I'm not really thinking I would stay in Seattle. I don't know if I've ever thought, but I think I need to actively start figuring out a game plan. And that takes, work and steps. I mean, you have to be proactive. It's just not going to happen automatically. Because moving, I mean, other things can happen more automatically. It's just, but moving, you have to find a place to move to. And that either means buying a home or renting, or I guess there's option 3, which really is a very viable option, is just when the time comes for my Texas house to renew the lease, I can just not renew the lease. It would help if they said, oh, we're going to be done. That certainly would make a difference, because then instead of finding new renters, I could go in, fix things up, and just hang out there a little while and just see what it's like. Without any real risk. I mean, easily come back to Seattle. I'd have to time it out. I couldn't, people would be on a lease here, so I'd have to do that and then re-rent. So that would cost me some money, but there might be some advantages to kind of exploring that, especially. I mean, I think the idea of having my yard, my pool, but I kind of don't want to throw away a good thing. Renters that pay every month and take care of the place and keep renewing, that's a hard thing to give up. So, yeah, I mean, would I say option 1 was buying a new place, in which case I can keep getting rent for Texas, I can go back to getting rent for Seattle, and my new place, I could, it's just where. That's the thing, where. And, if I didn't want to stay in the new place, I could just rent that out. So I have options. But my option right now is that my car hopefully has got a nice charge on the battery, and I can go in and continue, getting things. That means laundry and stuff, catching up, organizing things, some computer time, and then getting ready for another flight.